Hello everyone, this is Beastly Eel here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about episode 8 of What If. In this episode, this was called What If the Avengers Assembled in 1602? So, as the title gives it away, the time place is 1602. We have Queen Hela in charge with her two prince brothers, Thor and Loki by her side. We have Captain Carter as the main warrior of the group, I guess you would say. And then we have Nick Fury, who is the, I guess, main strategic officer, I guess is the best way to put it. And then we have Wanda, who is part of, well, who's basically the mystical advisor. And we have Hogan, Happy Hogan, who is the main enforcer for the Queen. We have this episode start with Loki doing a play when a green rip tears through the sky and tries to suck him up. Captain Carter gets a rope, pulls him down with the skull that he was holding from his acting. Um, she was gained some of the material from up there. He brought her down, but what happened then was another tear opened and sucked Hela in, which then led to Carter trying to save her, which failed, and then Thor became king. So everyone is basically like, "Oh, Thor, you are now king." Blah blah blah. Carter bows to him and basically explains how sorry she is for what has happened, and he gets mad and goes ballistic and says that she is to be captured and imprisoned for her failings as not saving this world, which by far is the dumbest thing ever. But whatever. She then goes on the run, takes the skull away from Loki, and goes away. She goes to find um, Tony Stark, who is going to use the material from the skull to then try to figure out what's going on. But before she even does that, Thor meets with Nick Fury and Wanda explains what's going on, which apparently there is a Forerunner in the group somewhere in this world that needs to be removed. They don't belong. If they are to be gone, then they will be able to figure out, well, basically go back to the way they were before, whatever that looked like. So they're now trying to figure out where this person is. And Carter was listening the whole time, and then she takes off after hearing that. She goes to find Tony. They start working together. She explains what needs to be done. He decides he's going to try to make something that's going to help with it. But the only thing that he could make, the only thing that he can have power something that great would have to be the staff of the king, because it's the only thing that'd be able to do so. She reluctantly agrees and decides that she's going to need somebody to help her. So he tells her that she's going to need a thief. And so she asks who it is. He tells her Roger Hood, or Steve Hood. She finds him trying to steal from Loki, which they are successful. He has Paul Rudd's character, aka Scott Lang, or the Ant-Man, along with Bucky Barnes, his loyal servant. And while they're distracted with Carter, they take off. So Captain Carter is talking to the Steve Rogers here. They're explaining how they know each other. She explains that she's not part of this world and everything else, and that she needs help. So he takes her back to her place. He takes her back to his place, sorry, where they do their spoils and everything else. They start talking, and he realizes that she's not lying, she's not from this world, and that the only way to stop it is to find this person, and the only way to do so is to steal from the king. So he agrees to help her. Well, while he agrees to do so, a bunch of tiny, tiny yellow jacket assassins come through to try to take them out. Well, the group then goes on an all out assault and takes out the Yellow Jackets. But before the Yellow Jackets go away, everyone thinks they're going to win. Turns out Happy Hogan is out there with a arsenal of men. Captain Carter explains that she's going to distract them while they go and escape. They wanted to argue, but she disagreed. She goes down once the destroyer comes out, and she goes and takes care of the destroyer, and then, well, she surrenders. In her prison cell, the Watcher is trying to convince her not to do this, and she's basically telling the Watcher to go in a nice way. She escapes, and she then gets Bruce Banner out of his prison by having the guard shoot her, where she avoids it, and the bullets go in and attack Bruce. Bruce comes out as the Hulk. She jumps on the Hulk's back. They escape, and they. I don't know the full details of exactly what happens after this. What I mean by that is we know that he's hopping from building to building as the Watcher is watching. And the next morning, Bruce Banner is back to himself, and Carter and Tony are watching him. That's when the rest of the Merry Men show up, give back Carter her shield, and they try to come up with a plan to defeat the Forerunner. So what happens next is kind of weird. They decide that Thor apparently is going to have this big masquerade party um, to basically have him be represented as the new king. And so they go down and they sneak in very easily. And that's when an all-out brawl comes to play, especially once the rift in the sky opens up once again. Wanda is then using all of her magic to try to stop the tear in the sky from taking anybody else. So during this, we have Happy and Captain, I'm sorry, Roger Hood fighting each other. We have Captain Carter ready to go toe to toe with um, Thor, and we have everyone else just fighting each other. It's a fun time. Apparently, Thor has gotten a sword from the Wakandan king. He has a vibranium sword, and he's ready to take down Carter himself. Well, during this, they realize that they don't have enough time to do so, so Wanda then uses her magic to stop Thor. Nick Fury takes the spear away from one of the guards and throws it to Tony Stark. Stark takes the gem out, puts it inside. Carter goes in, sticks her hands in, and while this is going on, Thor breaks free and tries to go kill her. She uses the device and everything freezes. Apparently, it was the time stone. Everything freezes, and we see none other than Captain America frozen, a bright green. He's apparently the Forerunner. So they start talking to each other, and he goes, I guess I remember it now. I was fighting somebody. So during Endgame, sorry, not Endgame, Infinity War, he was fighting Thanos, and he scraped the Time Stone. And that's where this timeline existed. Because of that, this whole thing folded in on itself, and the only way to fix it was with the Time Stone. So she was supposed to use the time stone to bring him back. He then pushed the button to send her back, and everyone else did too. Apparently, they were all sent there because of the mishap in the time frame, literally folding in on itself. So they go back to where they were. That being said, Carter was stuck in 1602. She goes to the pub to drink. She is assuming the Watcher's coming to gloat about how he was right, and it was actually Stephen Strange. Strange Supreme, specifically, obviously, the one she's known as the Guardian, as one of the Guardians of the multiverse. So they're talking and everything else, and he explains that he'll get her out, but he's going to need her help. And that's how that episode ends. So this one was a cool one. 1602 was kind of a cool year to see the heroes. Some things I didn't like was the Thor thing and everything else, but I feel like it wasn't a regular world. It literally was time folded in on itself, so it really wasn't its own universe. It was kind of a mishap, but I did like the tie-in to Infinity War, which I thought was incredible. Definitely was something I was very happy to see. And also, we get to see that Peggy once again loses her chance to be with Steve Rogers again. Just one of those things that will just never be the case, but apparently might motivate him to later down the road use the time stone or use the time machine to bring himself back to see Peggy once again so they could be together. Maybe that was the whole point of Endgame. That being said, it was a cool thing to see overall, but definitely wondering what's going to happen next. So the next episode is going to be with Doctor Strange, and we'll get into that in the next video. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.